feel crazy. I need squeezes. Hi there, it's Christy with the Chirp YouTube channel. Thanks for coming on over and watching this video today. This is the next video in my series on sensory modalities, the different ways that people incorporate sensory information into their world, and how those sensory modalities can kind of go wrong if we have issues in any of those particular areas. The series is focused, at least these first videos, on people who crave more sensory input. So hyposensitive people, people who want more of any particular sensory input. I will do a video on people who are avoiders of sensory input, sensory avoiders, but these videos are all on sensory cravers, sensory seeking people, specifically kids, because that's who I work with. In this video, we're going to talk about the sense of interoception. This one is weird. We haven't usually heard of it, and it's kind of one of the newer ones in this field of study. Interoception is the ability to sense what's going on within our own bodies, to sense when we're hungry, to sense when we need to go to the bathroom, to sense when we're tired or when something hurts, and if it hurts, where it hurts. These are all issues that our kids, especially those with autism, but sometimes other disorders as well, have difficulty with. And it's not something that most therapists address. It's not something that most families know to do, work on, because it's not even a well-known fact that this is something that we do, and sometimes it can get messed up and not work right. Think about when you're hungry. You probably feel some different sensations in your body, but if those sensations aren't communicated effectively to your brain back and forth, you can't read those sensations properly. You can't use that information to help yourself. A lot of kids have difficulty knowing when they have to go to the bathroom, and they have a lot of trouble with toilet training because they honestly cannot tell that they have to go, and so it makes it impossible to use the bathroom when they have to go because they don't even know they have to go. There are, of course, too many situations to explain in detail what you need to do for each specific situation. I'm going to explain as a whole and give you some examples in certain circumstances how I would work on this issue in certain particular circumstances with particular kids who have a difficulty in a particular area. Obviously, you can take this information, expand it, use it for whatever situation your child or your student is facing, or your family as a whole, because it does affect the whole family. And you could be a little creative in how you apply the principles that I will talk about. Of course, first of all, we need to realize that there's a deficit in the child's interoceptive functioning. It's pretty easy if your child never knows when he is hungry, or if your child never knows that she has to go to the bathroom. Those are pretty easy things to recognize. It's a little harder to recognize when our child can't tell where in the body something hurts. First of all, of course, we want to look for natural opportunities. We want to look for natural opportunities where the child has hurt herself. Obviously, this is something we hope doesn't happen all that often. And honestly, it doesn't have to be just the child either. If I happen to scrape my hand on the dryer when I'm pulling out the laundry, which I have done, and I get a scrape or I get a little spot that's bleeding, I can say, "Oh no, my knuckle hurts." It's good to have some visuals when it comes to this. I have a video where I show you the little visual book that I put up to help kids work on this issue of telling where in the body something hurts. Calling attention to it, pointing to the object, naming the part of the body that is wounded, and then touching the child on that part So if I hurt my knuckle, I can touch the child's knuckle and say, my knuckle, ouch, my knuckle hurts. That is helping the child connect the word knuckle to the feeling of touching the knuckle. And then if the knuckle gets hurt, hopefully it will communicate properly to the brain that this is the knuckle. If a child falls and skins her knee, you can touch the knee gently around the wounded area and say, oh no, my knee hurts. I need a bandage on my knee. I'm putting ice on my knee. I'm doing whatever you do to your wounds in your house on my knee. Keep saying knee and keep touching the knee, but not, of course, the actual wounded area. Then the word and the touch will link together, and the kid will hopefully be better able to relate the two internally. We also can do this in play-based scenarios. I work on all of these things through play, so it's very good to have time where you sit down and actually play with your child for at least a half an hour, at least once a day, but ultimately as many times a day as you possibly can. Also have a good play-based speech language pathologist on board with your team who can be working on these issues with you. And of course, as I always say, if you suspect that your child has any sort of sensory needs at all, please get an occupational therapist who's qualified in the area of sensory integration. Most of them are not. They need extra training. So find somebody like that. I've put some links down below, but you can also Google some different phrases that I will put down below that might help you find somebody who is a specialist in this particular area. Just in case no one's getting hurt in your family, which would be great, let's take a teddy bear or a doll and have her fall down. Oh no! Ouch! She scraped her knee. Oh, poor baby. We practice the doll saying, I hurt my knee. I need medicine on my knee. Going to the doctor maybe, talking about her knee. This also is drawing attention to the body. We can touch the child's knee. We can touch our own knees. We can talk about knees a lot. And once again, however you can incorporate the child's body into this learning process, the better. So touching the child's knuckle if you've hurt your knuckle, touching the child's knee if the dolly has hurt her knee. These are things that are going to help the body communicate better within itself. We want to encourage the child also to tell us if other body parts are hurting. Sometimes kids, especially those with autism, do not know where they're hurting, but they know they're hurting. So you can create a book very much like the one that I just put a link to a couple minutes ago, which says, my blank hurts. And at first it can just say, I hurt. And then the child can page through pictures of different body parts, drawings of different body parts, so as not to be a little weird, and perhaps pick something out. If she picks out throat, you can say throat and touch her throat a little bit. Throat hurts. Have her swallow some water, say, water hurts. Then we can figure out if it actually is her throat. Maybe it's her chest that's hurting. She has a cold and it's a little tight in there, but she doesn't know the difference between throat and chest yet. So we can say, breathing hurts, makes me want to cough. We can do a little testing when a child indicates that a particular part hurts. But of course, we want to believe the child that something does indeed hurt. We want to make sure to address pain wherever we find it, not with pain medication, but with fixing the issue so that the child isn't in pain anymore. And keep in mind that most of the kids who have difficulty with interoception also have trouble with communication. A lot of times sensory issues and communication delays go together. We need to make sure that we're supporting these kids visually with visual supports so that they can express themselves and so that they can understand what we're trying to teach them about how their body works. Let's talk about sensory needs themselves. Sensory needs are part of interoception. I know when I need to get out and do something. And right now, I'm going a little crazy because I'm 2.5 weeks in this boot for a tiny little fracture in my ankle bone and a bunch of sprained injuries. It's still pretty gross looking. I can't put weight on it. I can barely move it. It stays in the boot almost all the time, except when I'm in the shower. And it's kind of making me a little stir crazy. Not really supposed to be on it all that much because it starts to hurt. And yet I know I need to go for a run. I'm not sure what to do with that feeling. Sometimes I think our kids feel like that. They need to do something, but they don't know what it is, and they're not understanding their own bodies enough yet to say, I need some proprioceptive input. I need to ask for hugs. Sometimes they will just crash into the wall instead. We need to help them realize what their body is telling them. So if we see a child crashing into the wall, we might model, I feel crazy, I need squeezes. If we see a child hitting himself on the head, we might say, squeeze my head, I need squeezes. And then we can squeeze the child's head, which for a lot of our kids helps them calm down. We have to look for the signals in the child, recognize what they mean, and help the child meet those needs. And we need to help the child become more independent with that process as time goes by. So we might start out saying, I'm crashing into walls, I need some deep squeezes. We give the kid deep squeezes, and we might create visuals for this. We might create a visual that says crashing into walls, and then an arrow, deep squeezes, ask for deep squeezes. We're helping the child recognize what that behavior means. The next time the child is getting ready to crash into a wall, you can hold up the little visuals, crashing into walls, I need deep squeezes. And you can prompt the child to request deep squeezes instead of crashing into the wall, which is a less well-adapted behavior because it can harm the child, it's loud, it's all those things, and it's not social. We want something that is interactive because it's better for everyone. When it comes to interpreting your child's sensory signals, like getting ready to crash into the wall or actually crashing into the wall or spinning, spinning, spinning or hitting himself on the head, there are a couple great books that I recommend. One is called Understanding Your Child's Sensory Signals, and one is called Sensory Processing 101. They're both super helpful. I'll put links to them down below. And in fact, I'm going to do a little show and tell of them in an upcoming video, so keep your eyes out for that. I know this video in no way covers all of the issues that could possibly happen within interoception because it's such a huge category. But if you have particular things that your child deals with in the area of interoception, recognizing hunger, recognizing when she has to go to the bathroom, all of those different things that can go wrong within the body, recognizing when hungry, when tired, leave them in the information box down below, and I will do videos on them individually to give you some ideas how to work on those things. I hope this video gave you lots to think about and churn over a little bit and practice in your daily life with your students or your children, and that you have a wonderful day. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.